everyone, my name is Amber, welcome back to my channel. This is my pre-birthday book haul. So I'm calling this my pre-birthday book haul because obviously it's coming out before my birthday and I wanted to do that in order to reduce my birthday book haul video because otherwise it's going to be huge. I'm fully planning on treating myself for my birthday. It's not a big birthday by any means, but honestly this year has been a bit naff, so I thought I would buy a ton of books for it. So this is my pre-birthday book haul, including books that I have not bought for my birthday. There aren't too many here. I would say there are a handful of books that I've bought myself, a couple from the library, a couple that I got for free, and others that I brought over from my granddad's house, which is where I keep the books I haven't looked at in years. So I don't really know where to start, so I'm just going to go from the top of the pile down, and then this isn't really going to be in categories because I can't do that with this pile. So the first book is one that I've actually already mentioned on my channel, and that is Kill Creek. This one is a horror book. It's about a writer who goes to stay at one of the most haunted houses in America. I think it's at the end of a dark road. It's super creepy. At the time of recording this, I haven't read it, but I was hoping to read it in October, which obviously for you guys was a week ago. So fingers crossed I have read it already and I've already spoken about it, but if not, every time I look at this cover I notice something else. On this tree here there is a hanging rope. I'm hoping that future me will enjoy this and I can talk about it. Next I have a library book. This one is actually one that I received from NetGalley in exchange for an honest review, but I wanted a physical copy because it was quite dense, and so that is Black Spartacus. Sorry about the shine. It's the epic life of this guy. So I don't speak French. I am terrible at the French language. It's the one language that I have no interest in. I am honestly awful at any kind of pronunciation, so I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but it's that. And the back says that it's exploring the life of the first black superhero of the modern age. So this guy that it's focusing on, he actually led a slave revolt, and I think it was the only successful one. I'm very much looking forward to reading it. I don't think I will have read it by the time this video goes up because again it's very, very dense. The writing is teeny tiny, so I'm gonna have to take my time with this one and probably also take notes. Oh, there are also pictures. That's interesting. I didn't notice that. That's interesting. Okay, so there's that one. And next we have The Only Good Indians. Again, I'm hoping that I've read this one already, but as of right now I have not. This one is about a group of Native Americans and they go off, or they went off into the woods and killed an elk. Now this elk is, or this entity is getting revenge on them. I've heard it's quite gruesome and not to everyone's taste. I think Stephen Graham Jones has a very hit or miss writing style, I think, from what I've heard. Haven't read any of his books yet, but I'm going to be checking this one out. I'm going to be reading all of his books. Not all of his books, there are quite a few. I'm going to be reading 4 of his books to determine which one I think is best, and I have really high hopes for this one. Next I have The Troop by Nick Cutter. This one is also one that I bought for October because it's horror, and I'm hoping to have already read this one as well. I'm sorry I'm not talking about it in this video because I'm recording these videos in a different order, so I may have spoken about this in an October wrap-up. It's really awkward if I haven't. Regardless, I will talk about it eventually. So this is about a group of Boy Scouts who go scouting or camping in the Canadian wilderness. One night an entity comes up to their camp and starts haunting them or stalking them or something. It sounds super creepy. I don't know anything about Boy Scouts. I don't know anything about the Canadian wilderness. I know that this has a lot of body horror, gore in it. I'm okay with that as long as it's not fingertips. So if there are any fingertips being chopped off in this book, then I'm never reading another Nick Cutter book again. But he has released another book. I think it's called The Deep. I can't remember what it's called, to be honest, but apparently that is very similar to this one. So I think if I enjoy this, I'll probably purchase his other book and then get to that eventually. I think if they're very similar, I'll probably want to leave a gap in between. But I have high hopes for this one as well because apparently it's a very good horror book, and a lot of the horror booktubers that I follow have read it and really enjoyed it. It's the non-horror readers that don't seem to like it, so I'm hoping I'm gonna love it. Next we have a book that I found in a charity shop and I got it for £1. It was actually on my wish list before I went looking in the charity shop, and I was just browsing and I saw it was there, and I thought since it's on my wish list anyway, I might as well just pick it up for £1 instead of paying the £8 that it would have been anyway, and that is The Calculating Stars. This is actually the US copy, and it's from the same charity shop that I bought another US edition recently as well, or a few months ago. So I'm wondering if there's someone in my community that keeps going over to America and buying books and then donating them, or if they get sent books, or if they just preferred this cover design. I don't know. So I'm gonna have to investigate and find out because that's quite exciting. Anyway, this one is a science fiction book. I don't know anything about it. Let me quickly read the back. On a cold spring night in 1952, a huge meteorite fell to Earth and obliterated much of the east coast of the United States. Ooh, cool. The ensuing climate cataclysm will soon render Earth inhospitable for humanity as the last such meteorite did for the dinosaurs. Okay, this sounds great. So I've heard very mixed things about this one in terms of people's reactions to it, but I think this sounds like my kind of thing. And there's also a sequel as well. I don't know, I think it sounds really good. I like kind of devastating apocalyptic events. I know that sounds really grim. It's just exciting. I find it really exciting. So this is paired with kind of space travel potentially, or astronauts trying to save the Earth or trying to get out of Earth maybe. I don't know. Sounds good. I also, because I'm doing that challenge where I try to read the books that I buy in 2021, because of that I'm gonna have to try to read this year, and I'm hoping to love it. I think it sounds, I think it sounds really good. Next is one that I actually picked up for free. I got this one in, there go my books. This video is going really well. This is one that I picked up from the Lake District, so the kind of apartment complex that I was staying in up in Keswick had a bookshelf, and I'm really enjoying the fact that, as a side note, a lot of the Airbnbs have bookshelves or book swap areas. I think that's really nice, and a lot of motorway services are also doing it now. I love it. Let's get more people into reading. So this one is The Redbreast by Jo Nesbø. This was turned into a film, not this book, but about this author. This whole video is a mess. Let me start again. So a book in this series has been turned into a film with Michael Fassbender, I think that's his name. I don't really like him. And this is a book in that series, and now I'm questioning myself as to whether this is actually the first book or if The Snowman is the first book. I thought it was this one, but I'm going to need to double check. So the first one is actually called The Bat, but I thought it was this one, and so I picked it up. Now I'm wondering if I've got this over at my granddad's house, so that is a massive fail from me. I probably should Google things before I pick books up on a whim. It's a long detective series about an investigator called Harry Hole, and I do want to read them. I have 3 of the books, maybe including this one, at my granddad's house. I just haven't brought them around here yet, and so I thought I was going to start off with this one. I didn't have to pick up the ones from my granddad's, but now I don't actually own The Bat. This book may be pointless. It's okay though, because I can give it away if I do already own it. And now we've had a battery change, so the view may have changed a little bit, but onwards, let's carry on. This next book is also one that I bought at the Lake District from a shop called Bookends in Keswick, which is a lovely little independent bookshop. They had some really good new releases there actually, and to be honest, I wasn't expecting that, so I'm getting distracted trying to pull the sticker off the front of the book. Yeah, they had a lot of new releases there, and I wasn't necessarily expecting that from them because I know independent bookshops don't always have the newest stuff, but this one did, and it was really cute, and the woman who worked there was absolutely lovely, so I picked up this book, and that is The Decade We Could Have Stopped Climate Change, Losing Earth by Nathaniel Rich. So this isn't my usual kind of thing, because I do tend to read fiction, but I am quite, not enthusiastic, what's the word, passionate about climate change and the way we're destroying the earth. In fact, I was going to do some videos about it on this channel, but I think I'm going to start another channel in order to talk about that kind of stuff because it's a passion of mine. I think it's really important to talk about what you're doing within your community or personally, even if that doesn't make a huge amount of difference. I think it's a good thing to kind of build a community on. I think, you know, talk about your worries with people. Anyway, so I bought this book. The title says it all really. It's really short. I'm definitely going to read it by the end of the year. I don't know if it's going to give me any new information, but it's basically talking about how in 1979 we knew that we had to stop climate change and we had to sort ourselves out, and humans just didn't. So thank you to the generation before me. That's really great of you. Next we have The Night Watchman. I bought this one for myself as well. I bought this quite a few weeks ago now and I still haven't read it. So I know this author is quite a popular one. I don't know what else they've written, but if I like this, I will definitely be checking out more of their work. So this one is it's set in North Dakota in 1953. The main character is a night watchman at the first factory to open near the Turtle Mountain Reservation. Another main character works at the same factory and she wants to save money to go and search for her missing sister. So this says that it's a story about past and future generations. The author, I believe, is Native American, and I've honestly not really read anything like this, so I'm looking forward to picking it up very, very soon. I'm very keen to read this one, and maybe I will in November. Maybe I'll put it in my November TBR. This is another one that I picked up at the same time as The Night Watchman, and that is The Wolf Den. So Waterstones was kind of promoting them both together, and I don't know, I think they look really good together actually, and that's half the reason I picked them up. But yeah, they were buy one get one half price, so thought I would do it because I love the covers. This one is set in Troy. No, it's not. It's set in Pompeii and it's about women who lived there. I really like ancient history. Rome especially is a huge interest of mine, and I like learning about it, especially women's lives, because I did a whole module on it when I was studying. It was very, very interesting. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. Again, I might put it on my November TBR, otherwise I'm going to save it for around Christmas, I think, for no particular reason, just because I don't have many months left to actually read through my 2021 TBR. Finally, these next books are all ones that I bought years and years ago. So I got all these from my granddad's house recently when I went to see him. Basically, if you don't know, what happened was I used to live with my granddad. I moved out to move in with my boyfriend, and we moved into this tiny little flat, and I couldn't take all the books that I owned with me, so I had to just choose my favourites, most of which are still on my TBR pile. So I'm slowly moving over a bunch of books that I bought years ago, kept at my granddad's and kind of forgot about. My plan is actually to do a few reading vlogs where I read a bunch of these books and see how my tastes have changed and if I still enjoy the books I thought I would years and years ago. So yeah, there are 5 books here that I have brought with me. The first one is Fury by Elizabeth Miles. This one was huge when it first came out, so I remember it had a different cover in the US, so I was a bit disappointed because I didn't really like this cover. So I think this is about the three mysterious girls who are probably the Furies. I don't know if this is kind of just based on the Furies, if it's actually mythological paranormal retelling, I'm not sure, but I'm very much looking forward to reading it finally, because I know I was very interested in this one when it first came out. This was her debut book. I can't remember if she's done anything since, but I will be talking more about this one and the others in a vlog. The next one I have is Once a Witch. So I actually received the sequel from NetGalley, and I didn't read it because I needed to read this one first. And the sequel is called Always a Witch. This one is called Once a Witch, and I thought it sounded good. So it's about a main character called Tamsin who comes from a long line of witches. She is supposed to be the most talented, with a capital T, among them, but her magic never showed up. Now, 17 years later, she spends most of her time at boarding school. I did not know that this was set in a boarding school. The writing is huge. It's not going to take me long to read when I eventually get to it, so I'm looking forward to finally reading this one after so many years. When did it even... It came out in 2010, so this is embarrassing. This must have been one of the first books that I hauled on my channel. I will be finding out once I do my reading vlog for these books. Next, we have one that I was going to unhaul, so I still might. This is like bottom of my list, and that is Haunting Violet by Alexandra Harvey. She was huge. She wrote a vampire series called, I can't remember what it was called, but the first book was My Love Lies Bleeding, I think, and yeah, huge. I think I actually received this one from the publisher, Bloomsbury, but it would have been unsolicited because I don't think I would have requested this one. So this is a paranormal book, as most of these books from the early 2010s are, because YA was going through a whole huge paranormal phase, but again, I'll talk about that in another video. I'm getting distracted. So this one is a paranormal book about someone who can see ghosts. I don't think there's anything else important to tell you, so I'm just gonna put this one down and consider whether I want to keep it or not. The next one is another hardback. I was buying so many hardbacks back in the day, and now I'm buying paperbacks because I honestly don't like hardbacks. That is Vesper by Jeff Samson. This one, I can't really remember what it's about. So it's a HarperCollins book. Emily Webb is a geek. She's happy that way. Something something horror flicks. Something something. She's not the kind of girl who flirts with other girls' boyfriends. Like, that's good to know. Congrats, Emily. One night, Emily finds herself doing exactly that, and then the same night, one of her classmates, also named Emily, is found mysteriously murdered. The thing is, Emily doesn't know why she's doing any of this. Is Emily Webb becoming something else entirely, something not human? So I think this is probably paranormal again. Again, it's very short. It shouldn't take me long to read once I eventually get to it. And another short classic YA book that I'm actually quite excited for is Wake by Lisa McMahon. So this one, if you're an old school booktuber, you might remember it. She did Wake, Fade, and something else. I can't remember what. Gone, I think it probably was. So this one is about a girl called Janie, and I think she has a sleep disorder. Let me read the front cover because I can't actually remember, but off the top of my head I think she has some sort of paranormal sleep situation going on. For 17-year-old Janie, getting sucked into other people's dreams is getting old, especially the falling dreams, the naked but nobody notices dreams, and the sex-crazed dreams. Okay. She can't tell anyone anything about what she does because they won't believe her. She lives on the fringe, unable to control her ability. One night she falls into a gruesome nightmare, one that chills her to the bone. For the first time, Janie is more than a witness to someone else's twisted psyche. She is a participant. I remember this one was so popular when it first came out. This one came out in 2008, so I joined BookTube in 2010. I would have joined around the time that the third book in this trilogy was coming out, and everyone was talking about it. So I'm looking forward to actually trying this one and seeing how like the earlier YA kind of holds up now. Paranormal was such a huge thing. Again, I'm going to talk about this in another video, but it's strange how everything's sort of gone from paranormal to dystopian and then to straight up fantasy and sci-fi. Very, very weird. I'm looking forward to doing this project. Actually, it's going to start in January in the new year. I'm hoping to do one a month maybe, where I read through books I bought 10 years ago and still haven't read, which is embarrassing. I know it's so embarrassing, but what can you do? I got really excited as a 17-year-old booktuber when everyone was talking about books, and they influenced me to buy them because booktubers in 2010 were the original book influencers, which is mad. I'm sorry, that's actually discounting book bloggers who have been around way longer. I was also one of those. Not to humble brag or anything, but I've been here for a while and that's why I've got so many books. So those are all the books that I've acquired recently. Sorry this video was such a mess, but I had to get it out there before my birthday because I'm going to buy a bunch more books and probably bring a load of other books from my granddad's house. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Stay tuned if you like any of the project ideas that I mentioned, whether it's reading through my 2021 purchases or reading through my old purchases and doing a reading vlog on how BookTube and YA have changed. Thank you so much for watching again. I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and I'll speak to you all in the next one. Bye!